foul. That was absolutely ridiculous.
The Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Up on down. Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series.
I don't know. It's tough. Tom's up there, man. Beantown.
What's up, Boston Bruins? Boston Bruins!
What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Jesse Almeida here, back on YouTube and back on Beantown Takes with another video. Now, today is a very unusual video. We have a double upload today, so welcome back to the channel. If you caught the first video of the day, then you guys probably know what I'm about to talk about here in this video here, and we are discussing the controversial play last night from Sam Bennett's goal in the third period that ended up tying the game from the Boston Bruins. Game 4 loss last night to go down 3-1 in the series. There's been a lot of controversy on that, and I just want to give my thoughts and my take from the game last night and from the call in general. There's a lot to talk about from last night's game. Leave a like if you guys enjoy these videos. Right now, if you guys new, you guys know what to do. Go check out the website. The link is in the description down below. If you want to help, donate to go to games. My Venmo account and Streamlabs when we go live are in the description. Anything helps. Appreciate all the love and support. Now let's hop straight into it. Now, for the Bruins, they fell 3-1 in the series last night. And not looking too good for the Bruins right now, right? It's not looking too great for the Bruins, and it looks like that their season is going to be over within the next couple of days. We knew at the beginning of the season, like I predicted at the beginning of the year, that the Bruins were going to be somewhere between 4 and 7, like middle of the pack, but a playoff team, and possibly win a round. And I even uploaded an article on the website at the beginning of this postseason saying that the Bruins needed to win a series to show that they can compete in the playoffs and that they can win a series in the playoffs with this group. Well, they won the series against Toronto. And now this series here against Florida, round 2 against them, they are getting absolutely manhandled by the Florida Panthers. They won Game 1 on a shocking victory, 5-1. It was a huge win for the Bruins. Going into Game 2, there was so much momentum going the Bruins' way. And in Game 2, they absolutely collapsed in Florida on a final score of 6-1 in Florida. Then Game 3 comes back to Boston, series tied 1-1. All the Bruins have to do is hold home ice advantage because they stole it from Florida. And now all they have to do is hold home ice advantage. And they did not do that. They lost 6-2 in Game 3. And then they lose last night 3-2 at TD Garden to fall 3-1 in the series. Now, there were quite a few calls that you could argue were horrible calls from the refs. You could argue that it was ref hockey, so on and so forth. They were favoriting the Florida Panthers, so on and so forth. And there's a couple of plays that I will say that I felt like were bad calls. That was the Hampus Lindholm interference that I felt like was a bad call or whatever. The puck was right there, up for grabs, and I believe he hit Oliver Ekman-Larsson in the corner. The puck's up for grabs. Of course, it's going to be a physical battle between the two, and I thought it was a bad call going against the Bruins. And then the famous goal from Sam Bennett where there was a rebound in front. Puck is loose. He hits Coyle into Swayman and then puts it into the net. Jim Montgomery challenges the call, and the call gets upheld. It was a good goal according to Toronto's eyes and according to the ref's eyes. And TD Garden went ballistic afterwards. As a matter of fact, all of Bruins Nation and a lot of hockey fans in general went ballistic. From my angle, and from what we saw on the big board, you can say that that was a cross-check on Sam Bennett. If If you look close on the play, Sam Bennett comes in, holding the stick with two hands, hits Coyle in the back, into Swayman, and then he puts it into the net, blocking Swayman's way of trying to make a play on it. Goalie interference there, and should have been a cross-check. There was clear contact from Bennett to Coyle, hitting him into Swayman that prevented Swayman from making a play on the puck. We had goalie interference and we had cross-checking on the same play, and according to the ref's eyes, it was a good goal. I'm going to say this. That was the worst call I have ever witnessed in sports history. That was right there, black and white. And we've seen a ton of bad calls on this channel. But I think this one right here was the worst I've ever seen. And the reason why it's the worst I've ever seen is because you got the call wrong the first time. Okay. We challenge it. So you go ahead and you review it. Well, you go ahead and review it, but you still got the wrong call at the end of the day. What's the point of having a challenge if you're going to get the wrong call either way? If you're going to get it wrong either way, why do we even have a challenge? And you get my point going forward. It tied the game 2-2. Momentum got on Florida's side. And then Barkov, 4 minutes later, scores the game-winning goal. Well, it turned to be the game-winning goal, but at the time it was the go-ahead goal. Made it 3-2 Florida. Final score, 3-2 Florida. They go up 3-1 in the series, and it's looking like it's over. However, I am going to say this, and I am got to stay consistent with it. I have to stay consistent with it. Were the refs horrible? Absolutely 100% the refs were horrible, and they deserve all the criticism that they get going forward. Including Toronto, the replay booth. They deserve all the criticism that they can get, because that was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. 100%. But am I going to sit here and say that this is why the Bruins lost? No, I'm not going to say that. And the reason why I'm not going to say that is because after the first period, they were up 2-0. They were up 2-0. In hockey, when you go up 2 goals, you should be able to close that game away. You should be able to. Especially with how good the Bruins have been all season long. You should be able to close that game, win that game, go to Florida, try and get a 3-2 series lead. Came out in the second and the third period absolutely flat. They came out dead. Their energy was gone. They weren't as aggressive with their shots. They weren't as aggressive on the boards, I feel like. They played to not lose in the second and the third period. That's what it came down to. They played not to lose in those 2 periods. And they sunk the ship horribly. Zero energy, a soft mentality. That's on Jim Montgomery. That's on Jim Montgomery. And then I'm also not going to blame the rest, because it's not like that goal gave them the lead in the final seconds of the game, or gave them the lead in the third in general. It tied the game. And they were saying after the game too that their mind was focused on the next play no matter what the call was. If that was your mindset, then why weren't you more aggressive shooting the puck? I think they only got like 1 or 2 shots off the entire third period. The entire third period, they only got like 1 or 2 shots off on net. It's not good enough. The Bruins' shot differential between them and Florida was 41-18 in favor of Florida. What wins you games? Shooting the puck. If you can't put the puck in the net, you can't win the game. Like, how do you expect to win a hockey game if the shot differential is by 23? You're not going to win a game. It's as simple as that. You're not going to win. there were some individual performances last night and even throughout the entire series that you can look at and go, where have you been? McAvoy, what the hell happened this series? They play too conservative. They play too conservative. They play not to lose. That's on the coach. That's on the players. There's no energy. There's no energy when they go up in games. There's no energy when it's a must-win game. Like, they went up 1-0 in the series, and they come out dead game 2. Hey, guess what? Next thing you know, game 3 comes around, they smack you on your home ice again. How are you going to respond? In the first period, you responded well, but in the final 2 periods, you didn't come to play. You played not to lose. You got to play to win. You can't play to not lose, because then that gets you in some trouble. You're not as aggressive. You're not as physical on the boards. You're playing down to competition. That's what it is. Oh, we got a 2-0 lead. Okay, it's time to sit back, relax, because we got this game in the bag. No, it's not the case. That is not the case. You got to play the entire 60 minutes. Okay, I'll even go as far as saying this. If they played good the entire game, and the refs still screwed them like they did last night, I'd give it to them. I would give it to them and say, the refs screwed you. But at bare minimum, if that call was overturned, if that call was reversed, guess what, guys? The game is still 2-2 going into overtime. And with the way they played, they were not winning that game in overtime. They were not going to win that game in overtime. So yes, of course, the refs played a factor. 100% they played a factor. But was that the main reason why they lost last night's game? No. The Bruins beat themselves. That's why they lost the game last night. And today, Jim Montgomery spoke to the media. He spoke to the media today, and some of the quotes that he had today made me even more pissed. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? What kind of message are you sending to your players? Are you the problem? Are you and the coach the problem? Because today, I read from Ty Anderson that Sweeney says, we're not in a position to be criticizing the officials. That's standard protocol. We'll get fined, so there's no intention of doing that. He also goes on and says, Sweeney says we are not supposed to ask Montgomery about officiating. Says we need to talk to the league, officiating supervisor. Sweeney is basically saying NHL needs to put officials in front of mics in not so many words. A player, a coach, you ask them about critical plays, good or bad. People making decisions should explain them. It's as simple as that. Then, this is the quote that damned me. This is the quote that damned me, though. Because Pat Maroon also spoke in front of media today. And I liked what he said. He says, we're still not putting enough pucks to the net. And quote, Ty Anderson notes that both Montgomery and Sweeney continue to say that the Bruins are not a volume shooting team, while players continue to say they need to shoot more. Then they both should be fired then. How are you going to win games if you're not putting the puck on the net? How? How are you supposed to expect to get a rebound to put into the back of the net if you don't shoot the damn puck? At the beginning of the year, that's why you were playing good, is because you were shooting the puck on the net and you were creating opportunities. Now you have the audacity to say that you don't want to shoot as much as you did before? So what you're basically saying, Sweeney, is that you're throwing the season away. Montgomery's saying that too, because both of them agree. They both agree that they're not a volume shooting team. You don't have to be a high volume shooting team, but you shouldn't be outshot by 23 shots. a weak mentality. That is a soft mentality. So, the higher-ups are soft. The coaching is soft. What are the players supposed to think? That energy is infectious all around to the entire team. No wonder why the players are playing soft and conservative. It's because the GM and the coach are both soft. Both of them need to be fired ASAP. You got to start there. For the Boston Bruins, you need to start there. And if both of them are not gone by the end of this season, they're on timeout. For me, they're done. Because here's why. If they're both here next season, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. They'll be a good regular season team, but when it comes to the playoffs, they're soft. They won't show up. I was debating with somebody on Twitter last night, because at first I said fire Monty. And this was my exact tweet last night that I tweeted after the game. I said, and quote, how do you play that well in the first, but then come out that dead the next two periods? Season is over, fire Monty. I had someone come at me and they tweeted, dude, the roster isn't talented enough to win. Coyle and Zucker are centering our top lines. Marshy is out. We got rookies all over, our best ones. We've been carried by goaltending and 88, which, not true by the way. Pastrnak has not been playing that great this postseason. He only showed up really in Game 7 of the first round. And that was really it. And the goalies can only do so much when they get shot on 30 or more times routinely. And I respond by saying this. Even last year, when they were the best team in the league, roster-wise, they had a 3-1 series lead and choked it away. It's the same story over and over. I understand that this year they aren't as talented, but they play too conservative. They play too safe. They play not to lose. Then he responds by saying last year was a pathetic choke job, and everybody knows it. But if you weren't firing him last year, I don't see how you can fire him after 109 points and a round 2 appearance in what was always considered a bridge year. Which, by the way, guys, I predicted at the beginning of the year, in terms of the Eastern Conference, that they'd be like the 4th or 7th best team, like somewhere in that window, and possibly win a round. Alright? That was my prediction at the beginning of the year. So, my expectations would meet, and I was actually dead on with the prediction. But, here's my argument. Here's my counter argument to that. And this is what I said. I think you could have easily made the case for him to be fired last year. Totally get that this year was a bridge year, and a second round appearance is good. But they were a top 2 team in the East for most of the year. And they are getting outplayed, and it's not even close. 42 to 18 shots. And then I could have also added, this. I could have added the fact that at the end of the season this year, they fell apart. They had the Atlantic Division locked for a while. And they choked that away. They choked home ice away to these Florida Panthers. They did not play good at all in the second half of the year. And you know why they didn't play good the second half of the year? Something's telling me it's because of the shots. The shots got lower, so there was less opportunities. Sure, the physical game got a little bit higher, but there's not many opportunities at the net. When you don't have opportunities at the net, you can't score. When you don't score, you don't win games. And he didn't respond to me after that. I am absolutely frustrated with the Bruins. Frustrated with the players that haven't showed up at all this series. I've been upset with the coaching. I'm done with Monty. He's a great regular season coach. But when it comes to the playoffs, he can't bring the energy to his team that they need. And it's unfortunate. Because, again, if we don't count the playoffs, he's a great coach. But when it comes to the playoffs, and when the Bruins need that spark, they need that killer instinct from somebody, it's not coming from him. They look at Monty as the leader, obviously because he's the head coach. So if they're not getting the energy from him, they're not getting the killer instinct from him, who are they getting it from? They're getting it from McAvoy? They're getting it from Pasternak? I really think there's nothing whatsoever that is said in the locker room that fires them up. I believe that. I really believe that. So you need to bring somebody in here that will bring that firepower, that will bring that energy. Whether it's a big splash from the roster, whether it's another coach, whether it's a GM that knows what he's doing and will get behind his team and will do whatever they need to have that spark. That's what you need. But I think, at minimum, Don Sweeney and Jim Montgomery, or one or the other, needs to go. If you get rid of Don Sweeney and you bring in a GM that can fire up this coach, then maybe Montgomery could stay. But the Bruins have a lot of work to do this offseason. So that's going to do it for this video here. Yeah, I'm pissed. And you Bruins fans out there, you should be pissed also. Be pissed at the league. Be pissed at your team. All around. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are you mad at the most? And do you agree with me with what I'm saying? Because I do see both sides of it had a lot more to do with the Bruins' mentality and their game plan than it was the refs. I gotta stay consistent. I have to stay consistent because when the Lakers lost to the Celtics on that LeBron no call, I sat up here and said they still had overtime to win that game. They just needed to clear that out of their heads and move on to the overtime and come up clutch in the overtime. So I have to stay consistent with it. And that's my take on the entire game. From leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe now if you guys new. You guys know what to do. Go check out the website. The link is in the description down below. It's all up to the Celtics now. If you were to ask me, this Bruins series is over. Thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Jesse, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.